Hello there, it is no secret that Australia, that is us by the way, we wear hats, sorry back to it, Australia is the driest continent on the planet. Yes, there's also Antarctica, but no one really lives there, apart from these guys, so it doesn't really count. Keeping that idea in our heads, we figured that it'd be great to see the change from the dry as a bone heart of the country to more favourable coastline. From sacred mountain Uluru to the capital of South Australia, Adelaide. Desert to the ocean. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe. I think you got the idea. We'll be driving through unique landscapes, small settlements, and even an underground town. Mission will be accomplished as soon as we dive into the ocean. How's that for a plan? Yeah, that was our ferry. I think we should start from the beginning. We are meeting at Sydney's airport. Hello?
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 With almond milk?
After facing challenges of the 21st century, we are getting coffee with almond milk and heading straight to the middle of Australia.
Alyssa, they said they can still do for you, however your friend had to wait and get it done. Is that okay?
As you could probably notice by now, we deserve each other. Let's roll.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ayers, where the local time is 11:43.
Thank you.
As Alex is trying to find the reverse gear in our wonderful SUV, I feel like we need to say a quick thank you to Hertz for helping us with the car. They literally spent hours on the phone with us trying to understand our accents. They didn't pay us to do that, not even ask for a credit, but we're absolute legends. And yes, Alex is still in drive, hitting a curb in front of me. Imagine if we just gave up here and returned home. No, we're not like that. Adventures, here we come.
We assumed the worst and decided to buy enough food for 5 days. As soon as that was completed, we ended up in an information center where we get a national park pass and tickets to a place called Field of Light. That's for later tonight.
Shortly after we set off, the one and only Uluru Mountain appeared in front of our eyes. Like thunder in the clear sky, like an island in the middle of the ocean, it turned to be more stubborn than time itself and withstood everything that nature threw at it. Just for the record, we did not fly inside the national park, only before. And of course we decided to feed our Instagram with some quality content. Looks like we're ready now. Please admire the knowledge we bring to you. We are right next to an iconic place called Ayers Rock, or Uluru. I just swallowed a fly. So everyone knows it. It's definitely a place to visit and a local point of attraction.
It sits here right in the middle of the desert like a massive magnet and attracts all the tourists from all over the world. Still a little bit difficult with tourists, but it's not all about them.
It plays a big role in the Aboriginal culture, so we will not climb it. We will only show you around. And to be completely frank with you folks, hiking is not the first thing what you consider doing here. It is 38 degrees Celsius.
Val tried to catch a few flying snacks.
And we set off. We also did our research and came prepared. But not all of us used instructions.
In a company of 40 degrees Celsius, we were breathing the desert's chunky air. We followed the pathway and looked at a very distinct landscape. Atmosphere of this place did throw us in the beginning of times. As soon as we could find a shadow, we felt obliged to share some thoughts about it.
That's so hot. That's actually the cave we found here.
It's just a rock in the middle of desert.
The only one.
How the thing appeared.
It looks foreign.
It would be okay if it's some fly screens here.
For me, it's a question, what is that?
Maybe aliens? Yeah, I blame aliens.
Not bad, not bad.
This rock is sharpy, wavy.
Woo!
Definitely something magnetic, something interesting in the spot.
Definitely aliens.
It is high.
We eventually noticed the desert started taking our minds, so we had some water. And we kept exploring up until Val made a discovery.
So does it mean that both
Alex,
of us...
Flies go through these little holes. Isn't that ticklish?
That's a dying cave.
I would say this is the dead end.
And it was a dead end, so we started walking back, where it was my time to shine to be the greatest detective. We just stumbled across some dingo trails. See these flies. See this, that's the dingo's tail. As it walks, it wiggles its tail. This is how you know.
Stop confusing people.
No, it's legit. 100% dingo. We've been so lucky. Okay, let's find more dingoes.
We would like to share another good news with you guys. Our friends from Yupi created a platform uniting creative and positive people together. People who'd like to share their hobbies, passions and stories and being part of something bigger, develop relationships and etc.
Join Yupi and find us there. We'll be posting behind the scenes and some other relevant materials which for some reasons couldn't make it to the episodes. Follow the link below, register and get perks from Yupi. Meanwhile, I'm going to post a story. As easy as it sounds. Here you go.
Yeah guys, please check the link below, you can find Alex and Val there, as easy as it sounds. Uluru and its surroundings is a place where time seems to stop. You're cut off from big city life. Reception on your mobile device is also very limited. And I didn't think I'm going to say that, but I hope it stays that way, because it's perfect like that. You will find this place very tranquil, making you happy in the middle of the desert. Later that night, we are heading to a place called Field of Light. There are more than 50,000 of these little lights here, and it perfectly completes what we already started to feel here, the scale and the slow pace. Uluru and its vicinity will forever stay in our heads as a rehab from all the digital noise out there. In the night, we are driving to a settlement called Ghan, where we had a few hours to rest. Next morning we managed to get coffee and some hot food from a local cafe, meaning we didn't have to eat off our emergency tray. Feeling excited, I forgot to switch the camera off. Don't need to think, like and subscribe is enough.
So we're lucky enough we got some spot to have food. It's the second time in 2 days we can have hot food. We're gonna have a proper one. But we start with chips, lollies, and chips.
Seriously? Twice? Chips twice?
And water, plenty of water.
After breakfast, we're walking into the second day of our adventures.
Ghan is a small settlement which is basically an intersection between the road to Ayers Rock and Stewart Highway, connecting Northern Territories and South Australia. We decided to get going as we couldn't wait to reach our second destination, an underground town called Coober Pedy.
Guten Morgen everyone, we just set off to our second destination. It's day number 2.
This journey will be around 5 hours, I bet. And very interesting point, we don't have any cafes, restaurants, petrol stations on the way, so it's like 5 hours in the middle of nowhere.
But we have Pringles and a few bananas and
Some lollies. We're driving 130.
30.
I would say that for first time
Am I too
in
close?
Australia, we're driving 130 and it's speed limit here.
Yeah, never driven 130 before.
In Australia.
Fortunately, Alex was right, and we had witnessed endless desert of Central Australia. Despite expectations, it's hard to call this place a desert. There is a fair bit of vegetation, bush, and sometimes even trees.
Also, Alex couldn't sit still and wanted to share his knowledge of Australian soil. We didn't have the heart to say no to him, so here we are.
Have you ever seen a piece of something that is really rusty, like a rusty bike, for example? So in Australia, the whole continent is rusty. The thing is that soil here has a lot of iron, and iron is reacting with oxygen. That's why everything here in the soil is just getting rusty.
Hundreds of kilometers later, driving under the scorching sun, we made it to the land of opal diggers. Anywhere you look, you can see how many times people tried to push their luck. We stopped briefly so I could tell a little bit more about this place, using my own words.
Coober Pedy supplies most of the world's gem quality opal. It has over 70 opal fields and is the largest opal mining area in the world.
None of us knew what to expect from Coober Pedy, apart from the very obvious that we are going to spend quite a lot of time under the ground. Color of the sand has changed. It is no longer orange-red, it is more cream beige. And yes, Val insisted that we mention that on or off camera, because quote, that is very important. Finally made it to Coober Pedy, and we got a place which is, I'm not sure how do you describe this. It's been dug out. It looks scary, but it definitely looks cool. Let's check it out. Let's have a look. We got a mirror, got a TV, whatever. Nothing bite me. It's pretty nice. Look at this washing machine. Yeah, it's definitely something I need to use tonight, because you know, it's plus 40. Yeah. Ooh. Sorry, these things are tasty. Couldn't help myself. Anyways, follow me. Have a look. This is a bathroom caved out of the rock. Wow, looks nice. One question though. Maybe you guys know. What is this? Why on earth would you need to have 2 separate taps? How are you supposed to use it? I mean, I could be guessing here that maybe it's a heritage sort of thing. Back in the days, you probably wouldn't just use one tap and wash your hands or whatever, but you probably want to fill the whole sink with the water and then do all sorts of applications. But these days, seriously, you still need this? No one ever fills sink with water and then uses it. You just do it as you go, as water flows from the tap. Anyone, please, in the comments, explain to us why. This is suffering. This is 2022, by the way. Otherwise, it's pretty nice. Wow, look at this stone. I hope it's not gonna fall. Okay, I've got a business to do. After all business transactions were finalized, we couldn't wait to check everything out. We're heading to a local museum.
What are we?
Val spent at least 2 weeks studying mining opals. She even organized a little tour to us. But unfortunately, I forgot to record sound. Funny enough, Alex and I still believe it is an amazing piece of journalism. Yep, you know the deal by now. Like and subscribe. Let's show her some love. couldn't find any opals in the mine, we figured how to resolve this situation.
You can do anything you can do.
Thank you.
If you can be boss to your gentleman, you can be boss to me too.
As soon as we had sorted all things jewelry, it became time to go to church. Luckily, we could find a very unusual version of it right there.
Also, during our time in Coober Pedy, we met a local miner and an absolute legend, Paul, who was kind enough to answer our questions and share his thoughts.
It's getting harder, so I've bought myself a tourist business, and I'll do that for another few years and then I'll retire. But I've still got a drill, and it drills 1 metre shaft, and I'm finding people want to buy it off me, and I'm finding it very hard to let it go, because once the drill's gone, my mining's finished. The drill's the key to Coober Pedy. If you've got a drill, you'll survive.
How long does it take you to drill like a big hole down?
A metre hole to about 80 feet, about 2 hours. Doesn't take long.
Yeah, and you told us like you have some signs, like kind of you see the condition of the wall.
Yeah, there's actually, follow me just to here. There's an actual fault in the wall here. If you see it going up the wall, goes across the ceiling, and there it is here.
Oh yeah.
Now that's called a fault. We call them slides, and that slides where the ground's moved, and when the ground moves it creates cracks, and the cracks fill up with opal, but a lot deeper than this, at least another 30 feet below our feet. If you haven't got one of these, forget about it. Don't go mining.
Yeah.
You must drill one of these, and you drill out in front of it and look for trace. Yeah, that's what you got to have. If you haven't got one of those, keep on going. There's a lot of buyers. They're always ringing you up asking if you've got opal. There's plenty of buyers around. We've probably got about 3 main ones here that give a good price. For your poor grade opal, which Coober Pedy gets a lot of, Indian buyers, there's plenty of them. And at the moment they can't get into Australia, but they're still buying over the telephone. So yeah, they ask how much you want for your opal, you give a few pictures with your phone, and they say whether they want it or not, and then they send you the money and you post it over to them.
And it's a different kind of opals, right?
Yeah, you got white opal, Coober Pedy's white base opal, and you get crystal opal, and you do get a few black opals.
And they're all getting used for different things, right?
Yeah, black opal's very expensive, so yeah, that goes into the higher end of the market. But the best opal to get rid of is commercial opal. That's the white based. It's very easy to get rid of. The more of that you got, the better.
Check Paul's mine if you're here, he's got lots of stories. As for us, we ended up driving around town and rethinking the essence of Coober Pedy. Places like this can give you a sense of time. As soon as we drove in the beginning, we noticed lots of yards with broken cars everywhere. That scenery reminded us of a post-apocalyptic movie. Luckily for us, we didn't see anyone wearing the face crap. This was indeed a Mad Max experience at its best, more spiritual other than depressive. Everywhere you can see rusty reminders of what once was brand spanking new and now slowly melting and turning into the sand. This feeling doesn't scare though, instead it calms you down and like warm wind of endless desert wraps you around and gives you peace.
What are you doing?
Sewing. I can't sew 2 pieces together.
What do you mean?
I'm doing astrophotography. I mean, I'm trying.
Shooting the stars.
Yeah, the idea is to shoot the stars. And this car is a rustic one. It was time to say goodbye to Coober Pedy. We filled fuel tank to the top and headed further down south. Today we will cover lots of kilometers, every one of which will get us closer to our ultimate goal, the warm waters of the Indian Ocean. During the sleepless night I had enough time to practice some poetry. I know this might sound a bit off, but I had a reason for that. Pay attention to the end to understand why it was the case. Tires, whispering gently and loyal, hugging the road which is melting and boiling, changing the soil through the centuries slowly, the sun is to blame for all of this surely. Leaving no mercy on all what is present, I'm lying in pain, neck same color as desert. To be honest, sunburn wasn't that bad, it was Alex snoring.
Long after sunset, we made it to Glendambo, a small settlement in the middle of nowhere.
Where we stayed last night, and it's a place in the middle of nowhere. There's literally 8 houses. It's just a few kilometers off Stewart Highway, and we've got a long day ahead of us. 500 or 600 kilometers all the way down to Adelaide.
So, and we're ready to go. It was so nice to stay here. We get there welcomed by this little thing, this little Zena dog.
We're leaving early as today we need to cover the longest distance in our entire journey. We are full of hope to see the ocean before the sunset. But after spending less than an hour on the road, we found a salt lake. It caught our attention and we stopped in front of the entrance sign.
Guys, I think we just found rabbits. Definitely a rabbit.
No, it's a dinosaur.
Rabbit. Following the footprints, Val decided to prove me wrong. A few miles later, she could finally find them. These things were beautiful, and we immediately gave up arguing. We just gently flew around, and they didn't seem to mind. The scale of this scenery deserves a thumbnail. Only never-ending desert and 2 weird-looking rabbits. A few minutes later the chase was back. We kept driving for hours until it wasn't much left. Literally an hour and a bit before we can make it. Fingers crossed. Really want to go for a dip in the water. Just one dip.
Chasing the falling sun, we kept driving through some amazing landscapes. Sometimes we stopped to get a better look, but for the most part just admired everything from inside the car. All of that just so we can get to the ocean shore before dusk.
We made it to the
ocean.
To the ocean, yes. So finally we can wash all this sweat from
And
this
dust.
5 days and dust, yes. So we're definitely gonna become brighter, 2 tones brighter once we're out of the water, because yeah, we definitely have some desert presence on our faces still.
And actually there is some refresh after the 5 days of trip in dust.
Yeah.
Industrial
And
trip.
dust. And okay, we have to admit, we pictured that swim a little different. And not only it wasn't a sandy beach, but sharp rocks were everywhere, making us do this silly walk. Long story short, this happy moment took us quite some time.
After we made it to a local pub to celebrate, Val kept stealing my beer, describing everything as juicy, and the rest of it, even we struggled to understand.
Cheers.
Oh, that's nice actually.
I love it. This
It's juicy.
Juicy.
The beer, yeah, the beer is the Ayers, of course. I better talk about food. I'm joking, the Ayers are chips, of course. Of course.
Chippies. Chippies. You can sleep outside.
perfect.
Next morning we decided to make this video all things nature, and instead of showing you Adelaide, my sleepy face will tell you the plan. Good morning everyone, this is day 5 of our adventures, and we're supposed to wake up early and get to the Kangaroo Island. So there's a ferry or... Ferry? Yeah, we're super late now. Do we have any plan B at all? Any plan B? No plan B.
But plan C, to have a coffee.
That's more like something alongside with plan B, but we had a very comfortable sleep.
Stay.
But yeah, that was our ferry.
We missed the ferry, but we can make to the next one 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Yes, so next one 10 a.m. so we have time to get a coffee.
Long black, medium, yes.
2 medium and 1 black.
Eventually we hopped on the ferry, and it became obvious that we still have some luck in us. As for Adelaide, we decided to show you the city in our next adventure. We even have a plan for that. Meanwhile, we're heading to an island, 40% of which is a national park. It is always a good sign that there will be good views. We are beaching to Kangaroo Island, and only after 500 meters stopping to admire the scenery. Soon after, Val gave us a sign that we can now move on.
Like always, Alex spent half of the previous night gathering some interesting facts about the Kangaroo Island. We tried to steer him away from that to just enjoy the experience, but again, we didn't have the heart to say no. Watch the spark in his eyes when he's been given the green light.
Hi Alex. How are you?
Yeah. Finally, we're in Kangaroo Island, driving around, and there are a couple of interesting facts. Kangaroo Island is 7 times bigger than Singapore size, and there are around 5,000 people living permanently on the island, the citizens.
How many kangaroos?
Well, they countless.
Countless.
As soon as we mention kangaroos, we now have to share the road with them. So far it makes sense. It is a Kangaroo Island after all.
What's up, man?
Boy.
Driving further down, we arrived at one of the most beautiful beaches we've ever seen. It's a shame we didn't make this one our finish line, but it didn't mean we couldn't enjoy it to the fullest.
At some point, Val decided to fulfill her biggest childhood dream. Shortly after, we realized it wasn't only Val's dream.
After a brief moment, it became obvious that everyone here once dreamed to become a dancer.
Lady G-Shock said it's time, all my thoughts linked up, multiplying, no divide, dropping hit after.
To paint the picture perfect, we were only missing a koala in this trip. As it turns out, koala was missing us too, and it was really hard not to notice.
Okay, there is a luck. We're extremely lucky because we've seen koala in her natural habitat.
I won't say the same about koala. Not sure if she's that lucky, but we are definitely.
But we are definitely lucky. Yes.
We definitely are.
Music.
Oops.
For those of you who didn't know, most of their lives koalas spent under sedative effect of eucalyptus leaves, basically making them high. Only works with koalas. Wait a second. Apparently it affects all bears.
There was one before last destination we planned to come see. We got there following a windy road with almost no time to spend there. It was a downside of traveling the way we do. Because without a doubt, we witnessed one of the best destinations we've seen up to date, the Admiral's Ark.
And this will be one of our highlights for today, guys. Just have a look. This is like an edge to the wildlife.
Hello viewers, or shall I say goodbye viewers, because it's the last day in this beautiful state.
We are ending up this episode at the Kangaroo Beach within the Kangaroo Island, which is interesting because we expected all the beach to be full of kangaroos.
Yeah,
However,
sounds promising.
however, it's not happening. But we're still happy because the Kangaroo Island is an amazing place.
Yeah, it's always the case with us. Places where we have expectations, and those expectations are quite high. We usually just like, meh, yeah, that's pretty much it, yep. But places we don't expect much from, those are just bangers. Like the Admiral
Arc, this just
so good.
out of this world.
Good days. They're all limited, unfortunately, and that's the last one for us too. So we have to say goodbye. Val is behind the camera. Yeah, she's saying goodbye.
It's time to say goodbye. Thanks for watching us.
We only say goodbye in words.
We barely made it to the last ferry, which is already a success. Then we are going back to the mainland. Kangaroo Island has become a big exclamation mark in this journey. From now on, it's only returning back home. In pre-flight hustle, our heads are full of flashbacks from the last 5 days. These memories will stay with us forever. Travel young, so you've got something to remember in your golden age. Travel with friends, so there's always someone to remind you.
I caught a heart on the 7 seas, filled with these memories. I let it go, it's not my own, it don't soar. The nighttime, it starts. The nighttime, it starts. The nighttime, it starts. The nighttime, it starts. I'm seeking stars, seeking stars.
No, this can't happen again. No, yes.